Well, somebody who's probably getting high is a guy who's not playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. It is Rashee Rice,
Should I
because
drop
he's
him?
got no. But I mean, yeah, you're not in our league, so I'm going to tell you no. If you were in our league, I would tell you yes.
Oh, okay.
If you have
Uh,
Rashee
just a,
Rice,
just a tip here, stash him.
yeah, definitely stash. Keep him on your roster. It seems like he will be back. It, they haven't placed him on IR yet, which means
That's
that
what I was gonna say.
I mean, it's still possible that he'll go on IR, but all reports with it taking as long as it is means that maybe it's pretty good news that it's not torn, that Rashee Rice may be back, maybe for the last quarter of the season. I don't know. We'll have maybe a little bit less than the last half of the season. We'll have to see how it goes.
See, I think he's
Hmm.
playing this smart right now, honestly, because if he does come back this season and play a little bit and it gets worse, guess what? He's probably going to get suspended next year anyway. So use that time to recover from your surgery in the offseason.
Well, that's the conversation I had heard is like if he is out for the season, he probably won't play again until 2026,
Yeah.
which is a
He's not
long time.
he's not going to get a full 2025 season suspension. It would not be 2026. You're probably looking between 6 and 8 games. So even if he is suspended, which will be next year, and he will most likely be suspended, it's going to be 6 to 8 games. He'll be back before 2026. It'll be for a little more than half the season he'll get to play.
Nice.
And so I think I've just kind of not paid attention to the Hollywood Brown news. Are we without him for the rest of the season now?
He is out
For the surgery?
for the expectation is Hollywood Brown will be back and healthy in time for the playoffs, but he will not be healthy enough to join us for the regular season.
So
Hmm.
being without the top two guys we thought we were going to have in the wide receiver room this season, we've talked about it before. We're looking elsewhere, guys. We are
Have to.
Brett Veach should be
Yeah.
looking to acquire somebody else.
Have to. And that's something that we can definitely touch more maybe in the NFL show. We talked about it a little bit after the injury in the post game show just this past week, and there'll be more information that comes out. There's probably quite a few names that the Chiefs are looking at. We don't have a lot of cap room. We've got a little over $4 million right now in cap space, but there are definitely some opportunities out there that can be restructured. But there is going to be some capital that has to be given up, and it could be just for some 1 year loans. But for this week, the Chiefs have not made any changes to that roster in terms of acquisitions at the moment. We are playing the Saints at home Monday Night Football. The Vegas has our odds at 5.5 point favorites. Um, Funny enough, we thought there for a little bit that the Royals might be playing at the same time at home as well. There was an opportunity there, and that would have been a nightmare for the NFL and the MLB. But should the Royals, who are playing the Orioles right now,
It would have been a
uh,
nightmare for Kansas City fans because I
yeah,
think we would just be way too drunk.
Oh yeah, you guys would be propped up on fucking broomsticks at the Chiefs game, just like dead. Be the
it would
quietest
be
Arrowhead has ever been.
yeah, it would be awesome. But should that happen, the game will still be played at the same exact time, just in New York. So Kansas City fans can be rest assured that won't happen. But given that we're missing our top wide receiver options. Travis Kelce did have a fantastic game last week. We're potentially going to have to rely more on Sky Moore, unfortunately. What are some things that we should be expecting walking into this game against the Saints, who seem to be at least a half decent team?
Um, Derek Carr is going to take shots. He's been aggressive at the beginning part of this season. Rashid Shaheed had 8 targets last game. Um, I mean, he's slinging it and he's trying to get the ball downfield. So, um, I think our pass rush is going to mitigate a lot of that, but like Derek Carr is going to give it a shot and he's going to let that thing fly.
I like that. I like that. What to expect. Also, too, to kind of like build off of that, I expect the Saints or the Chiefs to stop the run and really kind of turn the Saints into a
Yeah,
one-dimensional team.
we do that
So
with every team. So yeah.
so they
I was going to say, I
can
feel
pin
like
their
that's
ears
pretty
back.
obvious.
Yeah, but so they can pin their ears back and just rush the quarterback. So that was kind of mine. Expect them to stop the run like they've always have.
Yeah, and so just another little piece onto that part as well. Derek Carr probably has over 50 pass attempts in this game.
I see. I
Throwing
don't
the
know,
ball
man,
a lot.
because I expect the Chiefs to go ahead and run the ball a lot and use the tight ends a lot. So I'm not expecting a whole lot of big plays from them. I expect them to work the ball down the field, take a lot of time off the clock. Saints, they can do all the shots they want. They're not going to be scoring as much as they want to. So I think it will not honestly be going to 50 pass attempts from Derek Carr this game. It 40, yes, 50, that's stretching it a lot.
As in, we slow the game down enough to not allow him that many attempts because
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we stop them early enough that they're not going to be out there over and
we
over
stop
again.
the run, they're not going to have any other option.
It's going to be 3 and outs, dude.
I mean, in a perfect world, yeah.
So how many drives do you expect the Chiefs to have then?
I'm going to go ahead and give me 9 drives. 9 solid
9
drives.
drives.
I think that's a fair number. I was gonna put the over under at 7.5. So
That's good. I'd take that over. Yeah.
I agree. The defense is going to have to play a big part. Tommy, you're 100% right. I think that's the obvious that I called out there that we'll stop the run for sure. That doesn't mean that Alvin Kamara won't be effective out of the backfield pass catching. He usually is. So expect that to still be a thing. The defense, Kansas City Chiefs defense will play, but one thing that we all need to be expecting is, given that we're missing our top 2 receiving options, Travis Kelce still needs to be an option. Who else is going to be out there? Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And boy, is he back. Expect him to have a heavy workload this week. We saw what he could do last week, even with limited opportunities. I think he's going to come in and grab that backfield by the horns and just take it with him. Sorry, Carson Steele, as much as I like
think
you.
he exceeded the expectation, man.
By and far. Like we set the over under when we thought he could be coming back, not even when he came back, at like 350 yards total for the season. We'd be pretty happy. Carson Steele, you had a little blip. I'm sorry. And that sucks for you that we just so happen to have Kareem Hunt there, and we also happen to have Samaje Perine. Samaje is still going to be that third down specialist potentially, at least for the next game, maybe 2 games. But Kareem Hunt's going to start taking over, and this is where it goes. I'm expecting to see him get north of 12 carries and probably 5 receptions out of the backfield. He's going to have himself a hell of a day.
Yeah,
receptions are targets.
After last week, Kareem Hunt should be like default player to watch for this game. He's going to be heavily involved. He should be a true lead back for us. I think Carson Steele still has room on this roster to get action at fullback, and maybe just a little change of pace handoffs. But Kareem Hunt, I feel like, is the better talent, is the better running back, is the better player, needs to be on the field.
I'll say this too, because the offense has been poor, very poor, even going back into last year. I think Tommy will like this because I don't believe that Matt Nagy is the play caller. It is Andy Reid is going to take over this game. We're going to see it because there's going to be motions left and right. We're going to be checking to see if they're in man. We're going to get back to that traditional, that maybe not creative, but we're going to go back into looking for those pre-snap sets. Figure out if they're in man, figure out if they're in zone. Andy Reid's going to be throwing different looks at them. And in traditional fashion for an Andy Reid game, we're going to see no less than 6 screens thrown.
See, I don't know if you how we can get physical evidence of who the hell is calling plays on the sidelines during a game, but I don't know. If that shit happens, I feel like there's a strong case that Ty Bob might know.
A little bit of ball.
What the fuck was happening there?
Yeah, no, Ty Bob definitely watches his film.
There's clearly something we were noticing it in our fucking group chat and shit. The problem on the sideline with Nagy, with Pat, with they were all yelling at each other. They were yelling just
Was this last week?
indiscriminately between the triangles. Like it looked dysfunctional. And we were saved by some big plays and some great defense, but offensive play calling, and I like when you're this good, like I'm happy that's our only real issue. But man, not a good look when both coaches and a quarterback are yelling at each other on the sideline.
We saw that with Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes as well, and that's where I think there's a little bit of a difference. Eric Bieniemy was holding Patrick Mahomes accountable, whereas what we
Nagy might be
saw
holding him back.
what we saw is now out of frustration. That is a different type,
Yeah.
right? Because Patrick, whenever EB was yelling at Patrick, only one time did we ever see Patrick lash back out, and we blew that whole thing out of proportion. It was always Eric Bieniemy holding Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the offense accountable, and Patrick took those in strides. Now we're seeing Patrick chirp back at Matt Nagy and potentially Andy Reid, and that may seem like a point of frustration more than actual critique and fixtures.
You think it's because he's getting older though? Like he kind of he's like, hey man, I'm 3-time Super Bowl champ, man. Like get the hell off my ass. Like, you think that could be a part of it too, or no?
I mean, if that's a part of it, it's due because he doesn't respect Nagy. It's because there's an issue there. There was respect there with Eric Bieniemy. He was able to take the critiqueness that he was getting from EB and use that to fuel him. If what you're saying is true, which kind of aligns with what we're saying, it's out of frustration. It's out of his lack of respect for Matt Nagy, more so than it is. Pat seems like a very humble guy in the way that he speaks and the way that he carries himself.
Yeah.
We obviously don't know him as a person, like individually, but it seems that way. If that was the case, I'd be very, very surprised if he was that arrogant so quickly from where he has been. It has to be a lack of respect and frustration.
I think either way, with the success that Pat's had in this franchise, he's earned the right to kind of speak.
Yeah, he has.
If he thinks there's an actual problem, maybe personally, I don't want to see him do it in the way it happened on Sunday, but it is what it is.